Hello and welcome to another episode number 62, Quinny, of End Product. We've got a very busy chat room today because breaking news, big massive update from Sorare, right on time. Quinny, how you feeling?
Oh, I'm hyped. I'm buzzing. A big, fat, juicy roadmap, Stish, where the median post set the challenge. It was a 12-minute read. I think we'd done it in 8 or 9.
That's it.
On the first pass. But yeah, man, tons of get through today. Tons of end product back on the table. Tons of new strategies to be looking at and thinking about. And going back over the thing a few times, like, I think there's so much stuff in here. I don't even know where to begin.
I mean, we came on air, like off air rather, probably about 15-20 minutes ago, didn't we? And I said to you, have you seen the update? And I hadn't had a chance to read it properly. I'd only seen like all the reactions online. So I'm like, where is this update? Like the Twitter app that I use on my desktop didn't show the kind of carousel that had all the update inside it. So I'm pretty much going to be sitting here reading it for the first time live. We've had a little skim through it, haven't we? And picked up on some of the key points, but there is a lot to get through. There's definitely not going to be any shortage of things to talk about on the End Product podcast on this episode. I think we're very excited. We've even set up a special scene for any of you watching live on Twitch right now, so we'll be able to see, like, read the page as we go. So thanks if you're here already. There's quite a few of you in the chat, looking very lively in there. So I'm very excited to have you all on board. If you're not with us live, you can catch us live on Twitch, normally on a Thursday around 1 p.m. GMT, or you can watch it back via Quinny's YouTube channel. So without further ado, Quinny, shall we get ourselves into this chat and just kind of start reading through the update? What do you reckon?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm just here if there is anyone joining us for the first time, don't forget to drop a wee follow, wee rate and review. End Product Sorare podcast. This is where it's all about getting those wins on the leaderboard, getting that end product in. And that's why it's so exciting, Stish, because the first thing we read out of this, basically, I think, was monthly leaderboards. I think that's the first thing, isn't it? Give or take or so. So yeah, anyway, there's tons of stuff to get stuck into. And if you're joining the podcast for the first time, live or after we've been live, drop a wee like, a wee review, a wee rate, a follow, drop a comment if you are live, obviously, or after we've been live, let us know what your thoughts are. And yeah, we'll get stuck into it all.
I'm very excited. On the end product, actually, before we do jump into it, Quinny, any end product this week before we get into the update?
Actually, mate, yeah, I by the skin of my teeth pulled out another win in Cap 220. Now, I was going into this summer, Stish, thinking before collection bonus was even a thing, but I was coming into the summer thinking, I've got my NYC cards, I've got a wee bit of gold, I've got a wee Russell. You know, I'll have some fun in America. I'll bash some trees, you know, and I'll get some good rewards. But my NYC stack has turned into a cheat code Cap 220 team, which isn't really doing what I thought it would be doing in that sense, you know. So I picked up a tier 4 rare, which sounds already incredibly crap, Cap 220, but it was a Gabriel Gudmundsson, who isn't a bad guy. We all know him, you know. He's been around the block. He's got a few cards and a few shirts. Very, very distant loose links to Celtic. So as far as a tier 4 goes, I'm actually quite buzzing with that end product. No temptation to sell as of yet. Let's see where the rumours are for the next season. And even, like I say, he's not a bad wee tier 4 to hang on to anyway. So that was all for me.
I'd agree with that. I've had a Goodman. I can't remember if I've still got him in the gallery, because he is one of those players that comes in and out of the team since his move to Lille, but he was a bit of a cheat code when he was at Groningen the season before, because he had a forward card, but he played as a left back. And he used to get, like, you know, into the final third a lot, because he was, you know, he would get the clean sheets as well. And yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I've still got that card. I'm not 100% sure, but I also won a couple of cards myself. I got a super rare and a limited. The limited is already gone. I managed to shift that. It was a Vissel player, defender with some good scores, but I'm not sure where I'm at with limited. We might get into that a little bit later, whether or not I'm kind of looking at what I've got for next season. A lot of my heavy hitters have either moved, so all of my little stacks that I had have just been broken up in limited. So it remains to be seen like how hard I hit that. I think I'll either have to reinvest or, like maybe kind of like limit my exposure to limited. But I also won a super rare, which was a tier 4, I think. And Yanis Antiste, he's a 19-year-old forward playing for Sassuolo. He was on loan at Amiens last season, and he did okay. He is like one of those sort of hotly tipped for the future. So I've got him on the market at the moment for anyone who's like after him. I'm not sure he's really like another under 23 forward's probably not really what I need at the moment. But if he doesn't get sold, he looks like a good prospect for the future. And I'll be hoping for a loan move for him. If he gets a loan out of Sassuolo, then he might be quite a useful card next season. So I was quite happy with that for a tier 4. Thought that was decent, to be honest.
That is decent.
Decent bit of end product, mate.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, shall we load up our new fancy screen so we can
let's see
let
what we've
everyone
got.
see as we read. Let's see if this works. Oh, there we have it. Look, beautiful. If you're watching on Twitch, you can see now that it
Love
did
it.
work. You've still got Quinny and I's beautiful faces either side of this update, which I'm sure you're all happy about. Quinny, do you want to read through this update and I'll try and scroll along as you talk?
Well, I would say, see if you scroll, the first part of it is all like Sorare, like this is what we're trying to achieve, stuff like that, like the sentiment of the game. We can maybe come back to that later. I think if you scroll down till it starts saying going long, that's the first thing we kind of get we get the monthly leaderboard kind of thing. So it looks like we're going to get it as a kind of mirror division of All Star. And again, I don't think all the answers are here, but it says that the long form won't have as many prizes, excuse me, but they'll be bigger and better. And the long form is over 8 weeks, but it's only your best scores. It's your top 4 scores only.
Right.
So for the first one, so they're going to maybe they're going to test that and iterate it through the season. So it'll be over 8 game weeks, and it's your top 4 scores. They are the ones that will accumulate your leaderboard status. And again, the All-Star prize pool will still be the same, but it feels like that they're going to balance existing reward pools across this as well. So I think we might see star tier volume go down in All Star ever so slightly. Like star tier at the moment in All Star, you maybe get like, say if it was like, I'm thinking about the old star as well, so I'm not too sure how it is now actually to be totally accurate. But I say it's like 10 stars now on the new system in All Star. Maybe in the regions it's like 7 or 8. I could see All Star probably going down to like that 7 or 8, but the star that you're going to get on the long format is probably accompanied by a big bucket of ETH and like 2 signed shirts and some tickets, and it will be like something mega for winning that. So I don't know. That was my first kind of take on the article itself. It was the first part that really makes some sort of difference to the game as it is. We've all been kind of talking about the possibilities of long formats and like some sort of equivalent to like an official rank when it comes to the FPL comparison or whatever. That kind of status symbol from being, clearly good at the game over a longer period of time, because the game weeks do rock away so quickly. So this is maybe the first step in that kind of direction.
Gallery depth is going to come in, isn't it? Heavy in the long form, because I think a lot of us can have a good game week once in a while, but can you have 8 good game weeks, or if it's 8 week, is it 8 week or 8 game week? I didn't catch that.
8 game weeks.
8 game weeks. So yeah, I mean, you need to have 4 pretty banging game weeks out of 8 to finish high in the leaderboard. So I think you're going to have an advantage if you've got a gallery that can compete in the midweeks as well as the weekends. Otherwise, you're pretty much only going to be really competing like 4 out of the 8. So I think this is where gallery depth is really going to come in for those long format game modes. So yeah, I guess another thing it doesn't mention is if this is going to be an 8 week cross scarcity, or is each scarcity going to have its own 8 week mode? Because I imagine the limited version, where a lot of people have like maybe a lot of depth in their limited collections, because otherwise if your limiteds are going up against people with rare collections, you're going to be struggling against the limited collections that have loads, and people who've got those collection bonuses like lockdown, got the full squad to select from. I think there's things they're not saying just yet. which is interesting. But yeah, I'd like to see that like in scarcities as well, like have a rare, have a limited, have a super, and have a unique
Rare Pro
version. I mean, if it gets into rare pro and all that, I think that could get messy, but there's no reason it couldn't work. There's no reason we couldn't work a rare pro in there. But
I think you've got to have a Rare Pro in there. That's what the light bulb was for me a moment ago when you were just laying that out there. I was like, there must be a Rare Pro one of these then, because it will be like just a mirror of the All-Star competition. That's what it says there, you know. So we have limited All-Star, rare, rare pro, super rare, unique. So those 5 should have 5 long forms, you know, is the way I take it.
Yeah, there's a chat question. Limited pro. I mean, limited pro is one of those things. A lot of people, for anyone who's listening, is like, "What do you mean limited pro?" At the moment, in the limited scarcity, we don't have the sort of pro version. Whereas in rare, the rare pro allows you to like use 2 super rares in the lineup, kind of boost your opportunity to score higher. We don't see that in limited. So that would limited pro would look, if it would look the same, would mean you could put 2 rare cards in there and get that extra scarcity bonus that you don't get. I think the confusing thing in limited pro is the scarcity bonus for limited and rare is actually the same by default, isn't it? Whereas in super rare, you get like the base kind of like bonus is 20%. And in rare, it's 10. And in rare, it's like 5. And in limited, it's 5. So limited pro would only really, and they'd have to change the scarcity level bonus of the rare cards, I think, in order to make sense, like maybe put it to like 15%, which might, well, it wouldn't necessarily mess the game up, but it would be a new, you know, there'd be probably some new coding and some new computing that has to come into play there to make sure that works.
There's a point that kind of bumps into this. It's further on in the article, but they talk about now all cap modes have got XP and captain. Captain's 20% as a kick. That's in all cap modes. Now, I thought when they told us, or they kind of, you know, the kind of ether was, oh, there's going to be XP and cap modes. We already get it in 270. So I think we were speaking about it on the show, but like seemed unlikely they would put it in 220 because you've got the one limited backing up the rare team, and there is no actual scarcity differential. And then in 240 also where there is ETH, which we'll get to in a moment because that was quite a big change. But in 220, your limited player that you're going to fit in there is exactly as powerful as a rare, even with all these other bonuses that we're going to come and speak about, because the scarcity bonus, like you say, it's the exact same. It is 0. The 5 that you say there, Stish, that's season bonus that you'll be thinking of when you get a guy brand new. It's just like your 5% season bonus, but like these, like rares and limiteds, their scarcity bonus is technically 0. Let's see if you hover over the wee breakdown, they just don't have one. So like the limited and the rares, like in that cap 220 with all the XP that's going on, like if you do have unlimited that's buffed up, then that's in that division just as valuable as, you know, as a rare buff, you know, for XP and collection and fitness and all the other fun stuff that we're about to dive into. But the actual next thing in the article, and also feel free to come back to me on this, is the new kind of the new fun to play, let's all have pals at the pub game mode.
Kickoff mode. I've got to that section on the update. Let's get into that then. So a new kickoff game mode for fans who love to watch football. We're working on a brand new game mode which will initially launch on our mobile app. That's interesting. So is this going to be a mobile app entry only?
I think so.
Interesting. Please note that kickoff is very different from the current kickoff competition. So at the moment, the kickoff competition is that one that kind of allows you to enter to try and win something, the scarcity up, isn't it? So if you've got less than 10 rares, you can enter the limited kickoff into winning a rare. And likewise, you know, that goes up across scarcity. So the unique kickoff allows you to play a team of super rares and 1 unique, which you have to captain to try and win one of like 3 unique cards or whatever. So this is not replacing, it's just like the kick. This is obvious. So that game mode, if they're keeping it, will probably have a new name as well. So yeah, in this game, this new game mode will be a quick social mobile first experience where you can play with or against your friends in specific match modes every day. So not game week specific. This is going to be a daily thing. Interesting. At the bar with your friends to watch your favorite derby, all of you can open up the Sorare app, select a 5-card derby lineup, and prove once and for all who knows football best. Interesting. I mean, I
This
don't
sounds
know.
like a
I do
comic
this.
mode at first, you know?
Yeah, I do this with my son sometimes for fun. Or we go to a game, be like, pick a 5-player Sorare team. We did it at the Man United Man United game that we went to towards the end of last season. And yeah, I mean, this is quite interesting for fun. You know, it kind of like be interesting to see if you can like put a little side pot in there, or a cut put. I guess it kind of starts to like get into the realm of gambling when you start doing that. But I guess it's almost like a free to play mode without any prizes in that sense. I'm assuming. Kickoff is being built to be fun for new fans, but also for our existing community. I think this will be good for content creators. What do you reckon, Quinny?
It's probably the sort of, yeah, it's probably aimed at that like phone gaming, you know, kind
Mm,
of aspect of what they could be doing with their game, you know. And it says that it does say, like, I think initially when I read this, like, I'm thinking this feels like a draft mode, a common card, pick 5 guys in the game you're watching,
yeah.
because you're not going to always own all these cards. But then towards the end there, it says, as you'll be able to compete with all card scarcities. And then later on, they do reference rewards for this game mode of some description, you know. So I'm not too sure what to make of this yet at all. Like, they seem,
Yeah.
this feels like a total, like, this is like a totally new thing that is Sorare now, if you know what I mean. So whoever has built this has probably been one of these like siloed sets of people that we've always kind of
Yeah.
fabled about on podcasts and stuff like that. We siloed team at the end of the corridor that have been knocking their pan in for about a year putting this together. So I don't think, like, it does say it will loop in with the game and stuff, don't get me wrong, but I've got no idea how this is going to work and look,
I,
and that's not a bad thing.
yeah. My thinking reading it is that this will almost serve for Sorare as like almost like the academy. Like this will allow people to come and have a bit of fun and like get to learn the scoring matrix, just like messing about with their mates, watching a game. You know, like they're saying, like daily. This is a daily format, so you can kind of mess about with this with no sort of financial input at all, across maybe 5 or 6 fixtures in a week, just to get to grips with it with a few of your mates for a bit of like a laugh, a bit like the way that, you know, an FPL league might work at the moment. It's just kind of bragging rights more than anything, isn't it? Unless you're putting cash into it. But it feels a little bit like come dip your toes, like watch this Premier League game, and for this game there's a prize, like get your friends together and compete as a team against, like, you know, as teams of 4, see if the 4 of you can pick, like, get the highest on the leaderboard and you'll win tickets to the next week's Premier League game. Or like, I don't know, like I feel like that's what I would expect from it. um
That'd be cool.
yeah, I think
Imagine that app on your phone.
yeah, I mean,
Just play a wee fantasy draft and maybe win tickets for next week.
almost like a daily fantasy thing, isn't it? Yeah, but winning with the prizes that they know you know, we know that they've got tickets for every Premier League game. You know, the deal they've got there, they can get tickets for any Premier League game. So, you know, they might put aside a pair of tickets for every match for this kind of thing. You can do it daily. So, you know, like the Premier League fixtures might run over a course of 3 or 4 days in a game week. And then you've got all the other leagues that are licensed as well. So interesting. I don't know how involved, you know, like the OGs will be in this game mode. So most of the people listening to this, be interesting to get a little bit of feedback on this. Let's have a little look in the chat and see if there's any excitement. Kahuna says, if the rewards for this are similar to 220 or the current kickoff, it won't be worth it. What do you reckon, Quinny? Would you agree with that, or?
No, probably not if it's commons. You know,
Yeah,
like if it is like, you know, especially because you've got to, like, I'm just thinking of this as we're going through it as well, right? But if it is like the game is on in 40 minutes, let's make a team for it. How many entries are in there? What is the stakes, I feel like, of it's not your main team of the game week or something. This is like a kind of side game. This is like a little fun activity that, you know, you might not actually, I'm thinking about me. I might do this with a game that I'm watching. I watch games all the time I've not got cards in, that I think, oh man, I really need a Phil Foden, or you know, or whatever, you know. So, you know, if you're a Sorare player, you can be doing this with any game of football that you've not got a card in, that you've not got, you know, who knows really how it is going to pan out. See, I've got you know, limited imagination to how this will actually work out from what they've told us, but it sounds good. And like I say, it feels like there has to be a strong common element to it. If it is
Yeah,
going to be the get your mate in the pub to have a bash with you, you know,
that's pretty much what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
download it, because what you've got to think is it's download the app, make a username. Oh, what a pain in the arse. It takes 2 seconds, right? Do it. Download the app, make a username, pick the team. That has to be the same. You know, if you're going to do this in the pub with shite Wi-Fi you're not logged into, and you're going to have a cigarette to do it, and, you know, or whatever. You know, like the real world implications of doing this, you know, what does it look like?
Do you know what I think of it like with like yourself as a content creator, and you've done watch alongs before and stuff like that, end of the game weeks, and it might be nice for people who go live to be like, right, everyone on the live, get your phone app out. We've got a, you know, like a mini league. It's open now for this fixture. Get your teams in, and you know, like you might offer up a limited or something like that, or you know, maybe Sorare make some kind of prizes available to people like yourself that go live and do the watch alongs, and you know, like bang a quick, you know, 30 people watching who are in quick enough to get their team in before kickoff. Bang, like they've got a 1 in 30 chance at winning your mini league. I could see that being an interesting entry point. Going back into the chat, Yip Bayless says, first time chat as well, welcome. Feels like a way better mode to get new users in than the draft mode. I think I'd agree with that, you know. I think I prefer this version of like the free to play than the draft mode, because I think the draft mode is a little bit more invested, you know, like your mate in the pub who you bump into once every couple of months or whatever can pick this up and get involved. Whereas a draft mode, like they have to be involved in it. Remember to go in again next week to do your team
Before the deadline, before you're in the pub,
yeah.
You know,
Exactly, yeah.
Sorare happens before the pub most of the time. So this has to happen before kickoff. This has
Yeah.
to, it is called kickoff, isn't it? You know, so this has to be
That's probably
semi-real time. You know, like this has to be on the go then and there. And like I say, if you are going to be chatting to your pal, you know, the process they must be working on, you would imagine, is if there was somebody who'd never heard of the thing before, they've got to be able to download it, sign up, and make a team before kickoff.
Yeah.
You know, that's probably and that's got to be part of the game mode, is it is pick up and play. So again, if the prize pool was like 220 and like kickoff and stuff, like I wouldn't be bothered, you know.
No. If it brings new users onto the game and gets people into do you know what I think? Because I think one of the most sellable pieces of like the gameplay to people who play fantasy sports is the scoring matrix, because I think it is good, and it opens up way more players into the game than like FPL does, where you're only really looking for players who are getting goals, assists, or clean sheets. You know, like that they could get a man of the match and score just an extra couple of points, you know, and sit behind someone who came off the bench and scored. Like, and I think that once a lot of those users get to grips with it and get their head around it, they'll be like, I could put, you know, 50 quid into this and think I'd do okay. Like, so I think I quite like it as a game mode. Be intrigued to see how it rolls out. Interesting that it's a mobile only. I get it that I think mobile first makes sense.
I don't think it said mobile only, but I feel that it is. I don't know if it explicitly does say that. I'm sorry if I did say that, but I'm not sure.
I think it did say mobile only. I'm just going to scroll back up. Quick mobile. Oh, it does say mobile first. It doesn't say mobile only. So
I might have said it as well, but yeah,
I probably just read it like that, to be honest. But yeah, mobile first is different. I mean, that opens it up to everyone, doesn't it? I think most people who play the game as much as we do are a bit more on desktop and laptops than they are on the mobile. You know, I use the Sorare app and the Sorare Data app occasionally, but more often than not, I'm on desktop. There's so much information that you need to sort of see on screen. Interesting. And another thing that like you could imagine for this, and I'm really like just thinking a bit out there now, but can you imagine, you know how we see like betting odds at half time, like, oh, next to score, get on this. You could see a little Sorare pop up before the kickoff of the Premier League game, is like, select your five-a-side team now and win a pair of tickets like for next week's game. Like, download the app and get involved for free. And like, it could be almost like quick. I've got 20 minutes to just get my team in. It's at no cost for a bit of fun. Gives you a little bit of investment in the game. But
do you know what I just thought of? I hope somebody at Sorare hears this in case it's at all possible. But imagine the halftime ad is more like Martin Odegaard is on 90 points at halftime. Did you pick him before the
yeah,
game kicked off?
exactly.
You know, and then people, what? Odegaard's on 90? He only scored 1 goal. Why has he done that? You know, or I've got Odegaard. I forgot about that. You
Yeah,
know, and that'd be a good one. Like the
yeah,
halftime betting odds. You know, like at halftime. You know,
that's
like
it. Like,
you
yeah,
know,
most likely, and then you can get the XG in, and most likely to score the next goal could be this guy. Did you pick him? Like, or
yeah,
there's, you know, like most likely player to come off the bench and score could be this guy. Like, if you picked him, or like 33% of players have got this person in their team, but like this
uh-huh,
guy's the outlier. Like the least selected player in the match who's still on the pitch is this guy. Do you have him?
uh-huh.
Therefore, yeah, I think it. I mean, yeah,
That's
it's
so much fun, isn't it?
yeah, could start thinking about all that, but
And they reference the cash wallet here too, which again
yeah,
makes me think this has to be the birthing canal. You know, this has to be, you know, like somebody downloads an app, signs in, makes an account, picks a team, you know, and it's like the whole thing is like touch a button, you're in and you're on, you know, kind of thing.
that's it. Well, that's quite an exciting update. One of many to get through. The next bit it moves on to is other
There's a
gameplay.
sneaky bit here. There's a sneaky bit here, eh? The black box part there, the first
Yes,
one.
we
That's the
are
sneaky bit.
lowering super rare eligibility in unique competitions from 2 super rares allowed to a maximum of 1. The total number of unique cards on the platform is now high enough for us to update unique competition eligibility. That's an interesting one. I mean, we've spoken about it a little bit on the podcast, I think maybe last week or the week before, where I was talking about how I was a bit tempted to go in and maybe pick up a goalkeeper unique or another one, because then I could use a goalkeeper super rare, potentially open that unique division up to me. This now, for me, pushes me a little bit out. That means I need, you know, at least a
Unique
goalkeeper
goalkeeper
forward
or
now.
super rare goalkeeper prices. Like,
Yeah.
Jesus, man, it's both of them, really, isn't it? Because there's not enough uniques to go around.
I think it would
You
take
know,
for me now, like some of those sort of like fringe goal, like backup goalkeeper super rares that I've got just sat in the gallery waiting for like their chance in the first team. I'd need a couple of those to start playing and become nailed on, so that I had options. At the moment, I've got like 2 goalkeepers, possibly move up to 3 when the season starts, like Gaitan Kook at Mechelen. But yeah, I think this will price out a lot of super rare players who maybe have a handful of uniques. So I think unique players will be very happy with that update.
yeah.
But yeah, that, you know, that does kind of like make it the high roller table. Even it's another step further away from most players, I think now. And it says that we will make no changes to the Sorare scoring matrix for the 23-24 European football season. That's not a surprise to me. Don't know about you, Quinny.
Maybe there could have been a tweak, but it's good that they're telling us now
Yeah.
that it's locked. Forget it, guys. You know, that's good. I would have liked maybe a wee, you know, like the slice of life stuff that we need with the scoring matrix, like the penalty conceded, or, you know, like the implications of penalty won, and all these little things that are just a wee bit upside down, you know, that
Mm.
could maybe just be a wee bit ironed out. I would have liked, but it's good that we've been told matrix is matrix.
Yeah, yeah. I think if anything, I would change. The one thing that if I do have a gripe with it anywhere, it is the whole thing on like losing a point for goal conceded and then losing a decisive for like the third one going in. It's a lot of points for a goalkeeper to lose. Whereas I think that like that goal conceded could maybe come down a point, because I think it gets a little bit heavy when they start it. And I get it, right? Conceding 3 goals, not great for a goalkeeper, but they're already losing about 15 points before they've conceded the third, and then they lose another 20. So it's, yeah, it's it feels a little bit overpowered for me, but some people might disagree there. So to maintain a more healthy game balance, we will only ever cover leagues when we have licensed clubs in that league. The Chinese Super League will remain as covered, as coverage here was introduced before our rule. That's important, because that would have been annoying if they'd have taken it away. I agree with that, though. Cards in non-licensed leagues competing for card rewards from licensed clubs would lead to an unhealthy game balance. We will not cover the Saudi Arabian League for the
Russia.
2024 season, and we'll reevaluate the situation before next season starts. So I wonder if that means, I wonder if they've had their offers, I wonder if they considered licensing club or clubs from that league. Obviously, some of the teams in the Saudi League are covered through their involvement in the Asian Champions League. Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by that. Again, I think it's good that we've got that clear now. Stops a lot of us on podcast having to talk about it. Been a big discussion point, hasn't it, online, on Twitter?
Well,
a lot,
won't they?
Yeah, I think that we needed that clarity on it. Bit annoying for anyone who holds cards that has gone. I'm sure that's a lot of us. I definitely have succumbed to a couple of red X's via the Saudi League this window, and probably will have a few more if you don't sort of make those shifts and changes. Saw someone post earlier today, I think it was Techers, that like the window doesn't close till like the end of September in Saudi Arabia. So some of us will be sweating for a few more months just yet on that. But I think that's fair. Chinese Super League to have taken that away would have been unfair on people who, you know, I think you pay a little bit of a premium to have those cards who move to a league that you're not going to get cards minted in. I've definitely got a nice little Chengdu stack that I would have been absolutely devastated to lose utility on. So, yeah, I think that makes sense. Obviously, bit gutting we're not getting the Saudi League coverage necessarily, but I do think, and I don't know about you, Quinny, but I think the supply where it is now, the available mintable cards to the amount of users using the platform, I think another league launch, a full league, would be a bit too much too soon. What do you think?
I think, yeah, it would be. I think like the Sorare's whole, one of the biggest problems Sorare's had as a company that for the whole time I've known it is it's always been in a state of flux, like almost forever, you know. And working into this season, they've wanted, in my opinion, from the outside looking in, they've wanted the waters to be as calm as possible in terms of like onboarding, card supply, market pricing, you know, blah blah blah, everything. They don't want they don't want mad volatility, you know, to be able to settle the game out in some different fashions. So I think adding Saudi Arabia in with how vigorous they are in the transfer market would equally then in turn add a whole new element that changes and puts ripple effects and puts the whole thing in a state of flux in terms of the entire card market. When you look at, well, these guys probably now playing Champion Asia, but now Ronaldo is a card that you can win in Champion Asia. So is Champion Asia better than Challenger Europe? And then and some other stuff that will happen, and the whole market would have to go through another little kind of, not quite as much as the D2 situation, but a smaller version of that, a little kind of micro correction on the backup goalkeeper pricing and run-of-the-mill defender pricing, and you know, these kind of things to align with that extra supply. And I don't think they want that now. I don't think they want that.
No.
Anytime soon. I think, by all accounts, the calendar in Saudi Arabia is good for SO5. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I think it's quite easy for them to kick it down the park organically anyway, you know, and just manana with it, you know.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The next part of the update is quite a big part that I've not even had a proper chance to read this just yet to get my head around it. But this feels like to me the biggest part of it for existing users, because it feels like it's a bit of a game changer. This is the club facilities update. The 23 to 24 Sorare season launches new features that give you, the Sorare managers, more tools than ever to connect and own every aspect of your club. Starting September 2023, Sorare managers can help build their club legacy through the club facilities features. In club facilities, you can build a stadium and facilities from the ground up, along with managing your squad, staff, and club identity. It's going to bring in like almost like a football manager element to it, isn't it? In terms of like the look and feel of the game, I guess. It says that they will initially launch with 2 facility centers, physio and training, that allow you to manage card bonuses, with the goal to follow up with more facilities landing soon after, such as your very own stadium and more. Managers will unlock and build their facilities through the club shop and in-game achievements. So with that in mind, the mention of the club shop's interesting here, because that to me suggests that you're going to need coins to get these upgrades. You're not going to win them.
That of coins.
It's going to be coins. It's going to be, buy physio, buy a trainer, like level 1 physio, level 2 physio, and that, assuming that will affect, I don't know, recovery rate, XP, lots of things that they're talking about in these updates, like training, physio, fitness, all this kind of stuff, right? Interesting. Anything to add there, Quinny, before we scroll on a bit further down?
I do think this is all, like, we're going to get into it, right? And we'll try and keep it SO5 kind of focused in terms of what does it actually mean? Because there's a lot of fluff and there's a lot of, anyway, so I think these game modes, I think you kind of mentioned it already, mate, but they're very immersive. And
Yeah.
I'm a very immersive gamer with this stuff anyway, but I could see this, like, if we think about how impressive we all kind of felt with that kickoff mode and how good we know the game is in general, we're just talking about, calm waters, easy to understand game, stable kind of system to work with. I do think this is premature. I think this would be great for the game. I've got no reason to believe it probably doesn't all work and it's going to be class, right? But my first take on it is I think this is maybe like a year too soon, maybe, for this kind of thing. Just in terms of, like, how busy it is,
isn't it? It complicates things a bit.
Maybe, yeah. Like, let's see, but maybe it'll be tweaked and stuff. But that was my first kind of take on it. I'm like, you've got this, you've got that. This is 5%, this is 10%. It's all quite busy. You kind of really need to scroll quite far down to get to the meat and bones of it. How the new fitness bonus will work, because it just gives you a lot of stuff there about the training center and stuff like that as well. So, like, the training is going to so we've got the academy. I think the academy will still run, right? The academy is technically a competition now by all accounts.
Yeah.
So you've got the academy to train your people for 3 times XP, but you've also got this training facility that will be the quickest way of gaining XP, and you submit players in a batch, basically, and then nobody else. So at the moment, everyone in your squad gets a base rate of XP just because you've submitted 3 training lineups or whatever the criteria is. That's gone now. So it's now only by deploying cards do you get XP. There's no more passive XP on the go.
Yeah.
And again, you can upgrade the facilities to get, I guess, more XP, better XP, more teams or something in the club shop. But then you go by Physio Center, and then you get to the fitness kind of part of it, what it actually means for the percentage bonus thing that's come in.
Yeah. So basically, it's saying the training center, delighted to announce we'll be launching the training facility feature. Here's how it will work initially. Submit groups of player cards to training facility. Cards in training accumulate XP more quickly than by playing in other game modes. The facility can be upgraded via the club shop to accommodate more cards. This is just the first step. We have plans to launch training drill items in the club shop that will cater to many different strategies. For example, if you play U23 competitions exclusively, you may want to claim a temporary U23 training drill that boosts a player's cards XP a little more quickly. So yeah, I mean, this sounds like an XP grinding situation, like saying it feels like maybe it's just like it will be all just bolted onto the already, like the academy. It'd be like, how many teams can you enter? Like at the moment, you can pay for, what is it, up to 5 or something like that. Like you start with 3. Once you unlock that, you go into a bit more. Yeah, interesting. Like you said, I think until we see how that works, I don't know if it'll be too much of a distraction. At the moment, sometimes academy, because it is a competition, I'll enter a team into academy some weeks. This week just gone, the midweek, I had like 4 cards across my entire gallery available. So I just put them all in an academy team. And I think 2 of the players played, which resulted in 110 points. And as it stands, that's going to win me a $5 reward. You only need that as it stands. Obviously, there's still a few fixtures today. But if I can stay inside that top 500 with 110 points, I've won a $5. I did, and then the rest of my academy teams are just like the players I'm trying to boost XP on. But yeah, in an interesting part of the update there. And then we come on to the Physio Center, and this is where things get really complex. And I think to your point you made, Quinny, about does this feel a bit too soon? I think this is where things start to get really confusing for people who are not like invested in the game on a day-to-day basis and understand like all the caveats that come with having that extra bit of XP. The fitness bonus. In your physio center, you can manage your players' fitness by speeding up the fitness recovery of your player cards. Fitness is a new card bonus that is part of our larger bonus restructure, which they'll get into in more detail. We'll get into in more detail below as well. How the new fitness bonus works. With the fitness bonus, cards at full fitness will benefit from a 10% bonus applied to their game week score. So, I mean, this will be on top, I guess, of their scarcity and their XP. So that we're adding another 10% to all cards. So, you know, your rare cards are then going up to a potential 25% bonus on like a cards for the new season that are maxed out.
Yeah. So kick into it.
We're going to see some enormous scores, aren't we? In the first few weeks, the score. I think one thing it will create is a little bit of more differential between the top, I guess, is like as the game scales, the larger like difference between everyone's XP on, you know, when people have got very similar lineups near the top, a lot of the old holders of cards might just be maxed out playing against other people with maxed out lineups similar to them. At least if you add this fitness bonus, if you're using the same lineup every week, your fitness is at like 0%. It's a bit like, you know, like when you're playing FIFA and you're into the 90th minute and you've been holding the run button down on Messi for the whole game, he starts to, his stamina, his top speed comes down a bit. But yeah, I mean, all player cards start with a 10% fitness bonus. A player card's fitness bonus only decreases if the card is included in a game week lineup and starts all subs for their team in that particular game week. Fitness bonuses increase for any players that are not used. So basically, you're going to lose if you use them 10 game weeks in a row. That fitness bonus is going to go down to 0, isn't it?
Maybe 20. I guess maybe it works like XP goes down 0.5%.
Mate, oh yeah, maybe. Yeah. Interesting though.
That, I mean, if it is over 20, right, that maybe takes a bit of the sting off of it, right? But the part of it, the main part of it for me, or one of the main parts, where I think it's maybe a wee bit too early, is like you're thinking about training, you're thinking about XP going up and all this kind of stuff, but you're also going to have something that's bringing XP down. So you're going to see cards, and it's like their XP is going to be all over the place. It's going to be like, what? This guy's on 12% now. He was on 18 last week. How did that happen? You know, or maybe I'm a bit extreme there, but like it feels like there's things moving down, there's things moving up, and like you know the way these percentages are displayed on screen. It's just the total amount. So you know, it's going to be visually a bit too messy, I think. You know, from that point of view. And like you say, some great points from the chat, by the way. We'll try and include as much of them as we can, obviously. But I think in terms of the fitness part of it, like for the card, I like the aspect of it that it does. I think it forces bigger galleries to make different selections, but you do see it referenced just below here that you can buy rest packs from the shop. So if you've got coins, then you can buy some rest packs, which is whatever, and that feels like it might be an in-game purchase as well. If it says there or money.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how much these like sort of bolt-ons cost, because when you've got, I don't know, 10 lineups a week, and you got 5 cards in it, that's 50 cards you might have. How much is each rest pack going to cost you? Like, are you going to lose a whole week's worth of coins you've amassed, or are we talking that these are going to be like microtransactions of like 2 coins per card, or so? I don't know.
If it was real money, what would you pay for? It sounds like it's real money. What would you pay for a rest pack for one player to go up to 10% from whatever level they're currently at? Full rest pack, boom, from 3% to 10.
Yeah, I think until it rolls out, it's hard to know, isn't it? Until how much am I paying for it in coins? And especially like for me, I've not really spent much of my coins because I wanted to see what was coming into the shop. And
real money, what would you spend out your card? What would you do a card transaction for?
I wouldn't want to spend a lot of money boosting things like that. You know, I wouldn't want to spend more than maybe on a game week like a $5 to like start boost up like for 10 players or something. I wouldn't want to spend much money, because depending on what scarcity you're playing in as well, I guess, because if you win a half decent limited, it might be like, you know, like a tier 3 limited, it might be worth like £8. a tier 0, some tier 0 limiteds might only be worth 20. Do you know what I mean? Like, so spending £5 to boost a few limited cards don't seem to make much sense. But if you're talking about a super rare and you've got a lineup where you're like, this lineup should bang in a game week where like maybe there's not many fixtures, and it's like, right, let me just max out my XP on this lineup, because if I finish first instead of like third or fourth, then the difference can be massive, especially when you start coming into those cash prizes. Assuming we're going to be holding onto those, I'm pretty sure we should. But yeah,
should be more of them.
yeah,
The sounds of things as well. Well, I was going to say, I would, again, for anyone who's in the chat maybe knows this stuff better than me, but I think for some like in-game apps, I'm trying to think, where do they see this kind of fitting in the real world? And like, there is in-game apps. I'm trying to think, like, that's why I was asking you. Some people have said like £2, and I think £5 for 10 players would be cool. I was thinking about 80 pence a pound for like
yeah,
one card, over 20 game weeks. Do you need to do that once? Like, if it's a big team and I'm excited, I'm like, oh, I've not got good enough training facilities. But again, what I was going to say is, anyone who is playing any mobile games at the moment that has in-game purchases, what is like the lowest denomination? Because there's obviously
yeah.
transactions and merchant fees associated with this kind of commerce. So like, what is the kind of smallest transaction? Because this appears to, like, say, this is a micro thing that they're obviously trying to build. So, what is that kind of lowest denomination? Is it 79p? Is it £1.19? Is it 185? I don't know. I've
Yeah.
not been on any games like that in a while, but I know you can get them pretty small. But generally, kind of what do you think about that?
Yeah, people in their chat, I think Ian Sorare is saying 79p is probably, and I think that feels like the kind of base rate on Apple, at least on the App Store. I think 79p is about the lowest you can pay for something. So maybe it's 79p to buy like 1,000 coins or something like that, and that 1,000 coins might be enough to like boost, let's say like 100 coins to like get a rest pack or something like that, maybe. So you can boost like 10 players. Might only cost maybe like less than 10p. I don't know. It depends on how much of an advantage that like these rest packs turn out to give you, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting. There's some people in the chat saying that they think it's inevitable that they start like their own coin and start that. Personally, I don't
see
like
it.
that. I think they need to avoid that. I don't think they should be selling coins. I think there'll only ever be one. I don't know about you, Quinny, but I think selling coins is I think that's a move back towards crypto, and I think they need to be moving more and more away
Yeah,
from
like tokens, like Sorare coin tokens and stuff. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't see them doing any of that. I think the in-game coin is the little thing that they probably need
use it for
to make
boosts
sense.
and like experiences. I think that'll be it. I don't think people will be buying coins. I think the coins will be used to, give people a chance to boost their game, or like buy stuff with it, like save up for something that you really want. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because obviously a lot of this stuff is up for change at any given time. So yeah,
I think this thing would only really be finessed. A 0 to 10% bonus. They've fought long and hard about adding this in. You feel like, and we're going to get to it. Kind of ties into some stuff as well, very end product related. So I think it might just be ever so slightly finesse, like maybe what the rest packs do, maybe how much the rest packs cost. These kind of things. But it does feel that this is a strategy, a business strategy, also a revenue stream that is like
yeah.
probably it's in the iron now. It's on for this year.
The fact that it says that rest coins will be available in the club shop and can be bought with coins or money. So this is another factor of them trying to. It says rest packs benefit Sorare's long-term health and sustainability. It offers a new revenue stream. So I think maybe with that in mind, this feels like this is a reaction to a sit down in the office where it's like, right, we need to figure out what more ways to bring in revenue, and this is like a fix for that. So this feels a little bit more like they've had to think backwards on like, how do we bring in more money? We sell cards. What else can we sell? And but charge people for. And I feel like that's probably what this has come from. Like, this is something we could sell, because then they can't really sell, like experiences. They can't really sell their shirts. That would feel a bit
No,
more wrong, right?
yeah, they're kind of vicariously selling it, but You
Yeah,
know, like you're not.
invest in the cards and you'll have a chance at winning these shirts. That kind of
Yeah,
makes sense. But asking people to buy, I mean, they could sell merch, they could sell hats and hoodies. That's another revenue stream. I think they should definitely look into that, because I get like we can win them at the moment, but there are a lot of users out there who would buy a Sorare hat or a hoodie 100%. And that is that'd be a very normal thing to sell. Like constantly have like a Sorare merch store for fans of the game. Might be, you know,
buy a hat for £8 or something. Yeah,
like a print out of your of one of your like cards or something, you know, Sorare frame, a hat, a hoodie. Might be like a football shirt. We've seen like the football shirts in some of the content that they've done. There's people that would pay money for that, and that is another revenue stream. We've got thousands, hundreds of thousands of users. I would say there's at least 10,000 people who play this game that would buy an item of merch from the shop if it was reasonably priced, and you know, and they could just buy it for money. I wonder in the chat, is there anyone in the chat who would pay money to have like a hat or a hoodie, jersey? I just feel like that would be another revenue stream that doesn't seem to have been explored just yet, and it's scalable. You know, like there's demand for the hats, you just make more. Like a lot of people in the chat saying I'd buy a hoodie 100%. Yeah, I think
now
buying
I
t-shirts,
think
things like that, mugs,
I think.
easy.
Sorry, mate. I'm a bad. Sorry, I was reading ahead on the article. Sorry, mate. I was just getting excited again a wee bit, or not excited, but get ahead of myself because I think all that stuff's in the club shop anyway. But the next kind of part of the art. So when you go past that, what's the last part we were at? Like the fitness bonus and that kind of nice wee picture. See when you go past that, and then it starts to summarize what they're doing with XP and how everything's going to get wrapped up around that. And there's been a lot of great points in the chat. So fist bumps to everyone, by the way. But Joe Ducey, that's what I wanted to throw in just before as we scroll down this. But Joe Ducey said a fantastic point, lovely bit of strategy, which was, you know, when your team has got cup games, they're not playing SO5, so you're not playing them in a game week. So like cup games and that kind of thing, you'll actually be kind of glad for them because you won't be playing them in game weeks, kind of thing, you know. So
Yeah.
oh, if your fitness goes down in training in academy, because that's nonsense if it is the case.
Yeah, I don't
Especially
think
academy. Academy shouldn't be losing fitness for that as well.
no. Definitely not. That should be a gain. You know, if anything, you should regain the fitness at 2x your like normal speed or something. Like, but yeah. So, moving on, there's a nice picture here of like what a training center upgrade might look like. Obviously, that's all. I don't think anyone cares what it looks like. So it's just about what it does, right? In terms of explaining and playing the game. I'm not too bothered about what my training facility looks like graphically, but that might change over time. Who knows? But as it stands now, I'm not too excited about that. It is a nice looking graphic. Shout out whoever designed it. Looks cool. But more ownership. 4 bonuses to build winning strategies. For the 23-24 season, we're updating our card bonus model to offer managers more control and deeper levels to strategize. On top of this, we're rebalancing card bonuses so they more accurately reflect our gameplay evolution of the last 6 months. We're strengthening our gameplay long-term sustainability, and to do this, we need to make adjustments to the model. I guess this is what I was saying earlier about, you know, like at the moment, that sort of 10 to 12% needs to be more like 30 to 40% possible, just to give like, you know, like those fractions of a score a bit more differential in the leaderboards as time goes on. But new fitness bonus, as mentioned above, starting September, so literally around the corner now, we will introduce a new fitness bonus as part of our card bonus rework and club facilities launch. The new fitness bonus adds a basic layer of strategy for managers when competing in the game week competitions. XP update. Our gameplay structure has significantly evolved since initially launching our experience points formula in 2019. The gameplay has greatly changed over the last 4 years, and we feel that the time is right to make tweaks to our XP formula to improve our gameplay balance. There's another article to learn about the new formula on its own, but it says, in a nutshell, the final level XP requirement remains the same. So to get like to level 20, I guess that means 24,500 points. Compared to the current formula, with the new formula, XP in the new system will simply accumulate more slowly in the initial months and will increase more quickly after a few months. So I guess that's a reverse, because at the moment you get to like levels, when you get to like level 10, 11, 12 quite quick, and then that 12 to 20 can take like a year or two or more to like get to it. So it's going to be reversed. Interesting. So that means that, I mean, I'm not sure what difference that makes, but you know, that's a mathematic thing, I guess. There's probably a reason for that my non-maths brain can't compute. To add
It's
to this,
basically all the same, but I think they're just, like you say, it is, they're just tweaking how it actually like comes onto the cards and whatever. But it's the new season bonus. If you scroll down a wee bit more, that's the only, you know, the rest of this, they do go on to say that they're planning some more changes and stuff like that overall, which is in the article. But see the new season bonus. See, when I started reading this, I thought, brilliant. They've listened to the Pen Fizz and they're giving us like 365 days on a card or something that's different or whatever. But no, this is actually horrible. This is like the worst change they could have made for new season bonus
So
by
yeah,
a long distance.
it basically means, in long and short, when the new season starts, that player will lose the 5% even before their new cards are minted. So before, it used to be like their percentage would continue to rise until a new card of theirs came out. This means no, like the new season bonus will expire as soon as the football is kicked, the start of the next season. So anyone who's got Premier League cards from last season, they're going to lose 5% the minute that they kick a ball, even if we don't get new cards for another month or two after it. Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a reactionary decision made based on, you know, how we've seen with the Russia cards and cards that move to uncovered leagues like China, having like this kind of cheat code extra 7% that never disappears for like 3 years until someone has to manually go in and delete it. This just basically means whatever card you've got, the minute they start the following season, they're going to lose that 5% bonus. That's how I understand it anyway. Is that what you're reading from it, Quinny?
Yeah, basically. So I'd have liked it to have just been like, yeah, because again, like, what if you win a guy? Like, one of the last times it gets issued for that season, you're never going to get to play him. That
Yeah.
problem doesn't get fixed. That problem doesn't get solved. You know, so I just don't think that was anywhere near the solution to make. It's fine. Like Kuna makes a good point there. Like, it's at least, again, similar to the other stuff we've said, at least we know this is the rule now, and there's no cheat code opportunity anymore, which is fine, whatever. But like, hey, that is what it is. But I don't think that was the solution anyone was after or campaigning for.
yeah. It's a change, isn't it? But it's yeah. I'm not that surprised about it though. I don't know. It feels sensible, but it's just annoying because it is nice having one of those cards that gets, you know, maybe not doesn't get a mint the next season, and you just sit accumulating that extra XP on it. We had it with Napoli cards, didn't we, the season before? Yeah. And like a lot of the Russian cards, obviously enjoyed a bit of that fun time. But yeah, I'm not surprised by it. But yeah, we're getting into collection bonus. Collection bonus was a first step towards our wider bonus rework. We are happy with the current collection bonus and will make no changes to the collection score rules. No, I don't think there's any surprises there. Look, seems to work right at the level currently.
Needs to be somebody here of all them now as well. All four of the bits.
So, new season bonus, which is 5%, is the immediate and temporary bonus that new cards receive every year. That's easy to understand. Fitness 0 to 10. This is the new one, right? Increases and decreases slightly from game to week. From each game week. It's straightforward and can be easily managed from game week to game week basis. I wouldn't, like they say, like very slightly is quite a key here. Maybe they go maybe we're going to have like decimal points per percent. It will be like, instead of it going down from like 19 to 18, it might be like 19, you know, or 18.8 or something. We might lose 0.2 of a percentage or something like that instead of.
I think people that play more minutes and probably score more points probably lose fitness maybe ever so slightly quicker, maybe. But then, like, how many guys, what I'm just thinking when we're looking at this, how many guys play concurrent game weeks relentlessly? Nobody. You know, it's always weekend to weekend. Maybe you get some midweeks here and there that pile up once in a while. Okay, fair enough. But when that does happen, they normally do miss a weekend and
Yeah,
whatever once in a while. You know, so if you're playing, then sitting, playing, then sitting, playing, then sitting with the card anyway,
you might just
then yeah, it
yeah.
might just be a little tiny bit of movement on the fitness every week, you know, like it goes down a wee bit, up a wee bit, you know, depending on how good they're playing, how hard do they, oh, they missed 2 weeks this week, I didn't play, I was on the bench or whatever, then I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's not as kind of brutal, but well, yeah, I say we don't know everything yet, but that,
Yeah.
yeah, that's something I'm thinking about as we're talking as well.
It's like Nanzo's in the chat. Good to see you, Nanzo. He says the bonuses are now way too high, up to 30% theoretically. I mean, that's basically what this is saying, isn't it? We got new season,
Yeah.
fitness 0 to 10, XP 0 to 10. I guess XP is the same, right, as it was. It might just we might just collect it in at different rates than we used to based on a few tweaks. But it's to try and like get people in early on a card and to hold it for a long time, I guess, right? Collection bonus 0 to 5, XP 0 to 10, fitness 0 to 10, and new season. So, yeah, I guess a card could max out at up to 30%, which is going to be really interesting. I mean, up to 30%, you know, you could literally start with like a maximum score now of 600 plus captain bonus. You know, if you add a captain bonus of like 20%, you know you've got a super rare score on a rare card, a current level, right? 150% on your captain if you've maxed it out at 30%, and that is
See
going to
what
be
I'm going
massive
to
in
See
some.
what I'm going to say, Stish, if you look at the next point that's after this as well, like the thresholds and everything. So all of these bonuses, I agree they are a lot, right? But see when that's the next move that they make. So that's then all these bonuses are now in threshold, right? See, no matter really what team in the world you support, if you've got Sorare cards and you build a collection, there is no reason at any scarcity you shouldn't be hitting threshold. And
Yeah,
if you buy a collection, you'll have squad places for rotation and blah de blah and whatever. But if you're getting 30% kicker on 5 cards for threshold
yeah,
with a captain bonus as well, you know, like there in that situation, there's no even imagine your fitness is at half and all your rares are at 25% bonus, and then you've got another captain bonus of 20% floating around. There should be no reason for you to miss threshold in that scenario. Really, should there be?
so they're saying, yeah, like we're basically to hit. So the new cap mode is going to move up to 300 points, but it will include all card bonuses and a captain. So interesting. I mean, again, I can't compute the math, but if you are playing maxed out cards, it still means you just need all your cards to score 50 points, basically, right? Because a maxed out lineup would be 600 points plus a 20. So 620 points needs to score 300. Is that right? I think that's right in my head. Actually, no, it would be more than that. It'd be let me think, right? Let's do the math here now. So 30%, so 130, 260, 390, 420, and then you'd have another 150. So what's that? Sorry, 420 plus 150, 570. Is that right?
The chat's got you.
570 points. So is that so? Like, no, I've definitely really messed that up, I think. But I don't think it changes the difficulty any at all. But you only if you can max your cards out. So if your cards are
Yeah.
maxed out, the difficulty is no different. It might even be a bit easier. But if all your cards aren't maxed out, it makes hitting the cap harder, I think.
It's a nice example they've got here because the collection bonus is tiny. The fitness bonus is kind of all over the place as well to give you a bit of an idea of that. Like this is a real team by all accounts. I don't know if they tell us whose team it was, but this is a team that hit threshold in cap 240, and it's a 251 score that would become 300 bang on with like the current bonuses as they stand now.
Mm,
Never mind if you're trying, you know, because when
yeah,
you know these things are all on the go to hit threshold, which is people's only objective in that division. If you win a card, it is a Brucey bonus at the end of the
yeah,
day. Then I think thresholds have became even easier. There was some You know, obviously we're talking about extra revenue streams and whatever in the shop and all the rest of it, but for the people who are going to be committed to the game, for the people who are going to build a collection, perhaps as well makes it even easier. For the people that will, you know, spend the ATP on the rest pack, whatever scarcity they're playing in, the threshold is going to be at their fingertips whenever they want it. It's not going to be a challenge in theory, or as much of a challenge. I don't think anyway. This feels like more than balanced. If you were to attack it, if you're that committed Sorare player and you're like, I'm going to get the super rare threshold or the rare threshold or whatever, like with all those bonuses you can tap into to help make the guy that scores 42 points get to scoring 53 or something, or I don't know, whatever. Throw the maths in the bin, but you know, then yeah, I think this rewards the plugged in player.
I don't hate this. I think it looks like it makes sense to me. And yeah, like as someone who kind of likes to buy and hold cards, I'm not like a quick in and out. I think, you know, a lot of limited players are chop and change their teams quite regularly. But I tend to just play with what I've got. So I think this might actually work out okay for me. Obviously, there's no scarcity bonus, so that would affect obviously only like super rare, unique. Their sort of base score would come down a touch, but yeah, I'm not mad at this. It's going to involve a bit of thinking to figure out exactly like what the kind of max score is, and then like use that. I mean, Sorare data will probably do a lot of the brain work here, won't they? They'll have to rejig their models, but I imagine, you know, there'll be a lot of tinkering to be done on that website in the coming weeks, I'm sure, to get
Because
the new sort of cap mode mathematics and projections based on like your cards' current scarcity, collection bonus, fitness bonus. They're gonna have to have all that cooked in. But I'm hoping that they will be able to get it done, because I think that it will really help. This is a little bit more cranial than it was before.
yeah.
I think before you just needed 5 players you thought were going to hit 50 basically each, like on average. Now it's like there's a little bit more to it than that, because of all of the caveats, all of the collection bonuses, fitness, XP, new season bonus, all of that kind of stuff comes into play. So it's going to make it a little bit more difficult to just look at it and figure it out than, you know, like people who don't have Sorare data are going to possibly like struggle sort of projecting their potential lineups for this, that they maybe, you know, you probably could have put that lineup together just in the phone app up until this point. But I think this is where Sorare data is really going to come in handy for a lot of users for this mode.
Maybe the actual fitness dynamic of it maybe is like, again, we're getting some comments echoing what we've mentioned already. It's maybe a touch too soon, but
yeah,
it's one of those ones. It might be proof in the pudding, you know, maybe one of those ones where like I can imagine I would still like find this and go deep end. Like me personally, like it doesn't matter when I find this game, it would still be the same outcome. So maybe there's a wee bit of that's hard to quantify and all this. And then this is when it gets a wee bit more exciting, isn't it? This is when it gets, you know, I think thresholds, like if you're an established gallery and you've got a lot of these, you can commit the time to figuring out your team. I think thresholds are locked in for you now. So I think that's kind of good news for those players. But this is more kind of fun, isn't it? This is kind of like, oh, what's going on here? Look at that little graphic, little 3D, you know, to the corner of it. It's on a little pivot.
Yeah. It's that's looking pretty good. That the idea of a 3D card, I think we spoke about it on the podcast recently, didn't we? And I was like, not sure what the point of it is. I'm not sure what the point of it is, but I mean, I think you said it as well. It's like they're kind of 3D already. Like when you get your rewards, you can see the back of a Premier League card, can't you?
Yeah.
I can't imagine that they're going to have individual designs for each player. I don't think the back will look like the player. I imagine the back to be like similar to what it is now. But they said like 3D Sorare cards each season develop 20. Okay, so most ambitious designs yet. A 3D component with a front and back. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what the backs look like. I hope it doesn't ruin the card openings. You know, when you get your rewards and there's still an element of surprise. I don't want to be able to see the back of an Mbappe card before I've seen the front of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I
You
like
don't
the
want that
idea.
giveaway.
I kind of like that the Premier League cards have a certain back. That's cool because when you land one, you're like, oh, Premier League, or oh,
So I think that's like the license a part of it as well. So like it's Premier League on the back for all the Premier League cards because it's a Premier League license, right? But what about in Italy? It's not a Serie A license. It's a Atalanta license. It's a Lazio license or whatever. So then do you see Lazio on the back of the card? Do you see, if you get me, for those ones, MLS will, the league ones will be nice enough, right? But for those league ones still, maybe it just needs to be Sorare or something. I don't know, but it looks good. And it says it's their most ambitious, they try and keep it. They're evolving their own design, if you like. But this is what they say is going to be their most ambitious yet. So I don't know if these will be completely separate to the main like card availability or whatever. I don't think so. I think it is just as of now, this is the way they will look going forward. And I think that's probably the way they should be anyway. And if there's any way they could retrofit this to your gallery, then I'm sure we would all happily embrace any hiccups that might happen, as long as that was the finished article where you could get touch. So it talks about touching the card and really like, getting that wee bit of 3D through your phone if you can, or whatever kind of element to it on the go somehow. So
special edition cards having different front and back designs. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if we'll be winning special edition cards or if we'll have to buy them on the market.
They're missing a trick by not rewarding more, because especially now the way the game's geared, they would be actively pursued. Like, like if I know that one game week I could win player of the season Kyogo, and there's only 5 of them, and it's for the top 5 people, then that one week, fuck it, I need to throw everything at that.
Yeah,
because getting that special is just it's at the top of the agenda for this weekend all of a sudden, so they're definitely missing a trick. It has to be warranted, but I don't want them going down the FIFA route of just doing informs out of nowhere and stuff like that, or just random stuff. Like if it is like smashing 100 or breaking a goal record, or something that's like, I don't know, significant, I would quite like that. I think you can go into more the inform element when you get moments, which has been long kind of in the back of the conversations, because the thing with the informs is you get the cool picture. Obviously, it's the stats and that, but you get a cool picture of like how he's did it in the game, his celebration of the goal or whatever. And yeah, you could do that with Sorare cards as well. But I think then making them special edition, it becomes too convoluted, and you're then printing special editions. You're selecting, oh, we like this guy this week or whatever, and you can maybe then be quite because FIFA's quite artificial with informs. I think sometimes they just pick people because they want to give them a new card, and and whatever. So I don't think they want to mess with that to that extent.
No. And then it kind of gets into the where fantasy meets reality part of the update. As part of the 23-24 season, we'll continue to surprise and delight our community with more real-life rewards and once-in-a-lifetime experiences. Blah, blah, blah. Some of the things that happen, we all know. Some amazing prizes. Here's a quick rundown of how passion ownership will all lead to more connection. Through the collections feature, top collectors will soon be able to unlock VIP tickets, signed jerseys, and once-in-a-lifetime experience for some of their favourite clubs in the club shop. I love that. You touched on it on your video of the Liverpool game, didn't you, Quinny, about the potential to, if you are one of these top collectors, it might be you next season. So it does kind of incentivize collectorship, doesn't it? And getting behind
you actually support,
exactly that, yeah. We'll ramp up our special weeklies and offer more VIP tickets, jerseys, and once-in-a-lifetime prizes. Nice. I think that makes sense that they're in the specials. This month, we will drop Sorare hats in the club shop with Sorare hoodies following soon after. So that's cool. Like I said, that they're going to be obviously doing that for coins, I'd imagine, if it's in the club shop. But I do think, anyone at Sorare listening, that there would be nothing wrong with selling your merch as well. Another revenue stream there that doesn't have to be that complicated. Just open a little merch store on the website.
Fashion apparel.
Allow people to buy a t-shirt or a hat with their money or with their coins. Leave them in. Definitely put them in the club shop every now and then. Little drops. If people can get in quick enough and get one with their coins, fantastic. But there are a lot of people out there who will just buy one. Like reasonably priced hoodie with a Sorare logo on it. Extra revenue stream. Why not?
I was going to say, Joe just brings in a good point here as well, because we've seen with the collections that you can get a wee badge if you get so far along, right. But that doesn't apply to like last season's collections. So Joe, this is like bringing a good point up here. Like, this is all good, but for older collections, like, you know,
Yeah,
like, don't
true.
screw us over here, man. Like, if you've
Yeah.
got, yeah, man,
They'll
just
have to have
maybe
like an
make it
overall collector's leaderboard as well, won't they, across all the
like
seasons?
club
Club
status of club.
collector. Yeah, not seasonal. Yeah, that can't be too difficult to cook in. And I'm sure they have done. I mean, when we were speaking to Dan at the Liverpool experience, he was saying that they didn't have a specific selection criteria for the Liverpool players who were selected. It was across limited, rare, different seasons. They just kind of picked a handful of like out of the kind of like top 5 to 10 of each of those kind of things. But yeah, having an overall club leader, I think I'm number one Real Betis Super Rare collector from a couple of seasons back. So yeah, I didn't go in for the recent VIP experience, but I could have done. Who knows? You might have seen me on a bit of content, but no, I think that's a good point. You know, not just this season, has to be every
You would
season.
hope for the once in a lifetime stuff, man. You can't be doing people over with what season they bought the card. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
especially the way card prices are going. If you've bought an older, like, I'm just going to say Leon, like, if you've got a stacked out Leon collection from like 3 seasons ago when ETH was at $3,000 a coin and stuff like that, you know, you can't be going and totally leaving them out of the once in a lifetime pieces,
Yeah.
you know.
True. I mean, I went when I
Mhm.
bought my Cherky cards. Part of the allure to those cards were the fact it was his 15-year-old card at Lyon. You know, I could have bought his this season card for a bit less, but I wanted the OG, like the Mathis Cherky cards. Yeah, just as a Sorare like fan, want the old one. I want the OG.
That's the one to have, mate. That's like there's a few cards out there that are like that, and the Mattis Cherky is firmly like a podium card in that sense, you know. I don't know. There's been a few guys that have threatened from Belgium to kind of join that, you know. Like, obviously there's obviously there's like Vanaken and stuff like that. But in terms of like kids, you know, like Wonder Kid cards, you know, there's not like
Van der
Cherky's
Voort, isn't it? But because
Van der
it's not,
Voort. I
it's
think
not
it's
as
top
exciting.
3.
Yeah, Van der Voort's not as exciting because he's a goalie. Goalies are never going to be like the
But he has a
quite
season
like,
1 Sorare, you know,
yeah,
season 1 Sorare, you know, so that's the spice of that, you know.
that's it.
You know, that's his first year. That's Sorare's first year. You know, there's a nice wee Martin van der Voort link up already. You know, like, and
Yeah,
maybe there's the Dokus, the Kettlers. There's a few of them
yes,
knocking around. But Cherky's firmly top 3 of that conversation
yeah.
for me.
That might be a little. We could have a good convo on that next week, Quinny. We should pick out some of our favorite, like our top 5 cards that we don't own that we love on the platform. Be really cool.
By the way, I mean to do this every week, right? But see, when we upload this to Spotify for the people that do listen to this on audio, we have the ability to like, ask questions and do polls and stuff like that. And I never
Oh,
ever do
really?
it. It's now kind of easy. They kind of want me to do it when I'm uploading the stuff. So maybe we'll line that up for next week. We'll come up with some who are the vintage under 23 like rookies, like what is the definitive top
rookies,
5 or something like that, you know. Maybe we'll do
yeah,
something like that. Maybe get a wee vote or something on the go.
yeah.
Any
Well,
suggestions? Man? Obviously, feel free to hit us up in the comment section of the YouTube video. As a
I
wee
would.
FYI.
You beat me to it. I was just going to say that. Get in Quinny's comment section on YouTube, and we'll take a look at that before we jump in next week. And I guess this comes to the end of the update as well. Actually, just a thank you to the community. We'll be keeping an eye on feedback, and it mentions that Dan Sorare will be taking part in a Sorare data live stream next week. So definitely keep your eyes and ears peeled for that. That'll be interesting watch, and I'm sure he'll be picking apart a lot of the kind of points that we've raised today. We've had a lot of you in the chat as well. It's been a really busy week. Obviously, there's been so much to talk about, so it's been a bumper episode. Lots of people in the chat, lots of chat. Probably the most busy chat we've had, I think, during a live pod, and a lot of first-time chatters as well. So it's been great having all of the newbies in the chat. We do try and do this about this time every week, don't we, Quinny? Like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday before we have to go and do the school run and all of the duties that come.
Get the end product sorted for the weekend.
That is it, mate. And on that note, before we do close out, we do have a little bit more of a busy game week upon us. We haven't even got into any of the strategies. We do have coverage as well of the what is it called, the Leagues Cup between Liga MX and the MLS that starts this weekend. I wanted to add a note to that.
No rush this, boy.
I'm struggling to put my lineups together because I'm expecting heavy rotation this game week,
Really?
this weekend. I don't know about you, but a lot of my kind of like regular MLS picks, I'm a little bit wary of putting in my big lineups. Have you got any kind of strategies for the weekend? Are you expecting rotation, or are you thinking that the clubs go into this and trying to win it?
I've not really thought too far ahead, but I do think the MLS clubs will be going to win it, particularly because this is the Messi debut tournament that they're putting on in North America, you know, like to welcome Messi. So all eyes is on, you know, and I think as much as it's a before Messi's arrival, a bit of a donkey cup that no one seen the point of or really understood. Now it's the Messi Cup. So everyone wants to win this because it's going to have, I can guarantee you, as soon as Miami plays, all we're going to see is tweets about 1.5 billion people tuned in to see Messi play against fucking Monterrey or whatever they're playing, you know, and it's going to roll like that all the way with that tournament for as long as Messi's a part of it, I think. So I think they'll all be taking it seriously.
Okay.
The players, for the shop window element, as well as the clubs commercially.
That's an interesting point. I mean, I haven't got a massive amount of options. I've got randomly a lot of goalkeeper options this weekend that I'm missing in other parts, which is unusual. But I think that's been down to winning a lot of American-based goalkeepers in the last few months. So I do have some lineups to rejig. But maybe with that, on that note and that thought, that I stop worrying about rotation and just throw them in. And I think it'll be a little bit clearer, won't it, after this first game week, like what all the clubs are kind of doing, how seriously they're taking it. So yeah, I think the U23 will be interested in that sense. That might be somewhere to look. Another point to make as well is we do get another challenger, a couple of challenger leagues open up. Swiss League and Russia and Austria, I believe, are all. I don't know if Austria is this weekend actually. Maybe Austria is coming, but I know we've got Swiss League. I know we've got Russia, but obviously because of the nature of the way that prize pools work, that means as much as we have got quite a lot of cards that are covered playing, the prize pool's pretty naff for Challenger, which puts me off playing it at all, even though I've got a pretty strong Challenger lineup and options as well in that division. But there's just nothing in the prize pool that is worth competing for. And I feel that Croatia this weekend, Ian Sorare has reminded us, Austria next weekend. So Croatia, Russia, and Switzerland all starting. So there are a few clubs in there, obviously. We could have had a nice pool of players from the Croatian league. Obviously, we don't mint Russian players anymore. But yeah, there'll be a lot of people that had lineups, I guess, that they could have slotted in and not going to be slotting in this weekend. But yeah, nice to have some utility out of those players again. Be interesting for me personally to see what happens at Krasnodar in the goalkeeper situation. Agkatsev and Safonov there. A lot of the kind of play sharpers and Sorare data is almost a 50-50 split between who may start in goal. So Safonov's a risk for me. He shouldn't be. I think he's probably the best goalkeeper in the Russian league, but Agkatsev is good enough. But my thought on that was that Agkatsev was put in to apply pressure to Safonov towards the end of the season to like sign that contract, or they'll make him stay and sit on the bench or something. I don't know, but yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of interest in what's happening across those fixtures. Got quite a few cards, so yeah, going to be interested in that. It's going to be nice to see the European League slowly reopening. Any fixtures you got your eye on this weekend, Quinny?
I'm just having a wee glance over that now. I'm quite interested in trying to catch a lot of this stuff if I can. But utility-wise, I'm probably going to have a really good all-star entry. I can probably make one really good team this week, and I've got a bit of a headache for my 5th spot, probably. But that'll probably be all for me. But it's only like 3 or 4 game weeks until Scotland's back, and then it's basically all like not long thereafter, you know. Time flies when you have fun. And next week is the Sorare Sevens thing as well. That's the back end of next week.
I'm away.
So like, yeah, some good end product for this weekend, but the weeks are rolling away. The pages of the calendar are getting ripped off, and this roadmap update is probably like it's good timing. It's good to know before August, certainly. So I think August will be the month. We've said it in the podcast for the last 3 or 4 episodes, but August will be the month where it's they go to work. I think in air quotes.
Yeah, maybe the timing of this update is something we can read into in that sense that this won't be, the first update. This won't be the last update we get in terms of roadmap. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to hear Dan talk about this on that Sorare Data podcast live stream next week and see if there's anything or any further details that they can give us on some of the points raised, and if there's a reason to read into any of the lack of certain words being used in certain parts of that update. Keen for it. So yeah, I'll be keeping my eye out for that live stream, definitely. But Quinny, anything else to add? It's been a bumper edition. I know we've possibly the longest podcast we've done in a long time, but we had so much to talk about because of that update landing when it did, and perfect timing for us and everyone in the chat to jump in and really pull it apart. So it's been a pleasure chatting about it. I feel like I've got a bit more of a handle on what to expect for next season now.
Full realignment of what end product is all about for next season, what you need to do and what you need to be thinking about and everything. So yeah, great to break that on the podcast. It's been lovely, and hopefully we get this out after we've been live quick enough so that whoever's listened to this maniacs for 90 minutes all the way to this point, fist bump to you. You're an absolute legend. If you haven't liked and subscribed and dropped a comment, then go ahead.
Please do. It's been an absolute pleasure, Quinny. Never a chore. Everyone in the chat, thanks so much for your ears and eyes, and good luck the weekend, and we will see you back here for another episode next week. Good luck, everyone.